2025 is the year of the snake, and if that gives you chills, you're not alone. It feels like it's going to be a super, super powerful year coming up, just maybe even more so than the ones we've just come out of, which says a lot. All right, so this is Zoe, and she and I are going to be looking at some of the historical patterns of snake years. We're going to look at the symbolic meaning of snake and what that might mean for this year. We're also going to be looking at, dare I say, predictions. I don't know, but some things that I might be looking at expecting to see this year, as well as I'm going to be sharing a message from the Akash. And I have a couple of events coming up that I'd love to invite you to. All right, so let's dive into the Year of the Snake 2025. First, a little bit about what that means, Year of the Snake. It refers to the Chinese zodiac, which is a series of 12 zodiac signs, which are all animals in the Chinese zodiac, and each year is a sign, and it rotates through these signs every 12 years. And the snake is the sixth animal in the cycle. We're just coming out of the year of the dragon, which was 2024, and right into the snake, which is interesting because dragon and snake are very closely related. Snake is a very, very potent symbol, and we see it in so many spiritual traditions, snakes showing up in various ways. And sometimes they are seen as very positive symbols, sometimes very negative. We live in a dualistic world, a world of polarities, and snake really embodies that. It's got so many polarities within that animal itself that it embodies, including the masculine and the feminine. It's got elements of both. It symbolizes both death and the life force, and also illness, right? Sickness, the venom, as well as healing. It's a really, really ancient symbol for healing in more than one tradition. It's almost like the symbol of opposites. Well, this goes to the Hermetic principle, the spiritual law of polarity, okay, which states that opposites are really extreme expressions of the same energy, that everything has opposites within it, and that for instance, if you look at something like dark and light, it's kind of the same spectrum where you can go from pure light all the way down into complete darkness, but there's no exact switch where it's like, now it's light, now it's dark, right? It's a spectrum. So many things are on a spectrum, and the snake just kind of embodies that whole idea of a spectrum, that we have two opposites that are really part of the same phenomenon, okay? And so especially snake symbolizes coming back to that idea of life and death, right? The life force, life moving forward. Looking at this showing up here in 2025, whatever happens this year is going to have a big effect on human evolution, planetary evolution, even maybe universal cosmic evolution, okay? Because we are in this big evolutionary shift right now, and with snake showing up, it's really showing us that there's going to be a lot of change, right? Because another meaning of the snake is change, it's renewal, right? It is the shedding of the skin, releasing the old, and bringing forward a rising of the new, okay? And relation to that, it is also associated with the Kundalini, right, which is the spiritual awakening, the Shakti power, the Holy Spirit. The Kundalini is the spiritual power responsible for evolution or the rising of consciousness within an individual. All right, so huge year for evolution. So this is the year of the wood snake, right? And wood is one of the Chinese elements, and it really, if you think of young trees or young plants coming up in the spring and rising up and growing really fast, that's the essence of the wood element. It also symbolizes what's known as Jing, or that life force energy, right? So it's a very, very similar energy that we often see in snake. And so when we have wood snake, that really accentuates that aspect of snake, of the driving forward, right? The full of life, the life force, okay? A lot of vitality, energy surges, okay? And it can be kind of unpredictable. It is said to rule the liver and the gallbladder, which are organs of detoxification. So here again, we have that getting rid of or releasing what's no longer needed, right? Just like with the snake. And so that's also emotions of anger and frustration, blood flow. Okay, so the wood is going to emphasize a lot of the active or quicksilver aspect of the snake, as well as the renewal and shedding aspect. Okay, so this really points to me, it points to 2025 as the year of the snake being a really incredibly dynamic year. I feel like there's going to be a lot that happens this year in 2025. All right, so let's dig a little bit deeper into understanding snake, and that will help us to clarify some of the energies around this year. Okay, so despite all that life force and driving energy that we're feeling, if you really look at the behavior of snakes, they spend a lot of time hiding under rocks. And what I've noticed lately is that many people that I've spoken to are feeling a really deep impulse to go within. And I don't think that's an accident. If I think that connecting with this yin aspect of snake may be what's happening right now, okay? And that can actually bring about deep, deep healing, right? And a quiet kind of renewal. So we think of shedding as it can be very active, but there's also the quiet renewal of rest and regeneration and looking within, turning within, okay? And I feel like that's going to be a super, super important thing to keep in mind. Some of us may need to actively remember to bring ourselves back and allow ourselves to have the rest and the introspection and that looking within. This could be the saving grace for many of us this year is consciously becoming conscious about really cultivating that yin aspect, okay, and not coming out until it's time. Right. So with that shed, we've also got the shedding thing that happens with snakes. When snakes are about to shed, they often will stop feeding. They'll go a little bit more into that rest and relaxation mode, okay? Um, they'll often go into hiding, and their eyes will often get milky or cloudy because what's happening is they're shedding their whole skin, including the eyes, right? The covering of the eyes. Spiritually, that means that you're going to be shifting the way you see things. When we're in the process of shifting our worldview, right? Things can get kind of cloudy for a while, and also snakes when they're getting ready to shed, they can get upset or frightened easily because they can't see well, right? And it often leads to defensive behavior, to striking out, literally hissing fits. They'll kind of rise up and go hissy. It can bring to mind some of the general atmosphere of kind of anxious anger, anxious frustration in the collective around us. Chalk that up to there is a snake energy, and it has a lot to do with its impending changes that we're moving into, okay? And not knowing what to expect, all right? So if you are experiencing any kind of defensive behavior, crankiness, clouded judgment, either your own or just noticing it around you, it might be a really great idea to retreat for a while. Look within and find the guidance within, okay? Because that will bring that clear vision back and that renewal, all right? Another behavior of snake is sunning, right? Snake will come up out of the dark where it's been hiding, and it will seek the light and seek that warmth that comes from the sun, right? So this is one reason that snake was considered sacred in so many ancient traditions, because it was kind of a sun worshiper, right? And so we can see that really positive healing aspect of the snake as one that really draws in the light to itself and for the purpose of reinvigorating itself and drawing in that life energy directly from the sun. Okay, so we can emulate snake by holding ourselves to the light, right? Intentionally. Even though we may be looking at some scary changes, there's ultimately a lot of good that is driving this, and that is we're going to be able to really receive a lot of light this year. Okay. Another characteristic of snake is unpredictability and surprise, right? If you've ever been walking in the woods and all of a sudden a snake goes past or right in front of you and you go like, whoa, we can expect 2025 to bring moments like that, all right? So buckle up and don't be surprised with the surprising things because it's just par for the course with snake energy. We have this snake's feeding behavior. Some snakes are constrictors, like the anaconda here in this painting is one that kind of binds and holds. So there may be some of that energy, but most snakes will keep their eye on something that they're hunting down, and all of a sudden it'll be like this really quick strike where you can't even see it. Okay, and this is very fast, very decisive, and very focused action. All right. So we may see some major players in the world this year acting like that, fast, decisive, and possibly aggressive. This could be a heads up for 2025 to be really mindful, watch where we step, right? Because a feeding response just means that they see something move and they strike at it automatically. So we want to watch for um, knee-jerk reactions this year. Okay, things could get really reactive, and especially for a spiritually advancing people, we want to really be mindful of our own triggered emotions, right? When we have emotions that can come up, the wisdom part of the snake is to be able to overcome that or to see it happening and to transcend that kind of knee-jerk trigger, responsive reaction. We're going to talk a little bit more about that when we come to the message part, because the message is from a beautiful ascended master that has really mastered this sort of reflex. All right, so let's look at the year of the snake in terms of history. Over the past 100 or so years, we've had a number of snake years because they're every 12 years. And I just kind of went through and looked at some of the major events from the past few snake years. And I came up with three specific trends or patterns that I've been seeing in snake years. One is, again, that suddenness, sudden events precipitating either hardship or conflict or an involvement in conflict, okay? The 1929 stock market crash that triggered the whole depression area. A lot of hardship, right? Starting with the snake year. 1941, Pearl Harbor, which brought the US into World War II, right? 2001, September 11, right? Those attacks initiating the global war on terror. Both of these really a very surprise attack that then led into a global escalation, okay? Or entering a global escalation. All right, so along with that, that's the sudden events trend. Another one is uprisings, associated especially with the rise and fall of cultures and countercultures, and initiating major cultural trends and regime changes. Okay, so we have 1905, the first Russian Revolution, 1917, the Bolshevik Revolution, also in Russia, which kind of started off the Russian Civil War, right, and really led into the rise of communism in Russia. 1965, the escalation of the Vietnam War and the rise of the hippie counterculture in the 60s. In 1989, the fall of the Berlin Wall, right, and revolutions in Eastern Europe, leading eventually to the end of the Soviet Union, all right? So uprisings, culture, counterculture uprisings, and crashing of established powers and kind of bringing other powers into place, okay? And then trend number three for snake years, this says major scientific and technological breakthroughs. In 1909, Einstein published his theory of relativity, introducing the concept of the quantum, right, into the public consciousness. That's been huge, right, on so many levels. 1953, the discovery of the structure of DNA, right, also pertaining to evolution, right? 1965, the introduction of the first commercially successful mini computer, which of course ushered in our whole age of technology that we're really stepping into the forefront here now. I think we're going to see an up leveling of that this year. And also not really scientific, but the first Star Wars movie burst onto the scene in the year of the snake, 1977, and that forever impacted human consciousness in the West with its underlying concept of the Force, really bringing more of an Eastern sort of concept of the divine into mainstream um, Western culture, right? Beyond just the hippies. Now, all the little kids running around, I was one of them in the 1970s, really were like, wow, the Force. And it really changed, I think, our concept of what's out there. Okay, so with that said, what can we expect in 2025, keeping in mind these three trends of cultural uprisings or political uprisings, right? Sudden events leading to conflict or hardship or change, and major scientific technological breakthroughs. All right, so what I'm seeing is one, political and cultural tensions around the world could very well come to a head. I mean, that's a no-brainer if you follow the news at all. But I feel like we can potentially expect some aggressive or potentially explosive actions resulting in lasting changes and shifts in power. Okay, so this isn't just little things that come up and we don't remember them. This is likely, whatever happens this year, likely going to initiate some big shifts and changes, power shifts in the world. Um, Okay, so I'm also looking for AI and robotics to really explode on the scene in a big way this year, potentially disrupting the fabric of society in both predictable and unforeseen ways, right? So if you don't feel like AI has touched your life yet, just wait. I'd say very likely in 2025, you will feel that impact. And then also, in addition to being a wood year this year, snake itself also has a strong connection with earth, the earth element. Okay, so earth represents the physical and everything connected with it, including money. Okay, so first of all, I am feeling like all the spiritual impulses that have been more in the ethers and more like we've been feeling it, right, as spiritual people. It's going to be felt on a physical level this year. It's really going to be manifesting this year. Okay, so this could be a really interesting year. Like I said, I think robotics may be huge, like all that artificial intelligence that's been in the ethers, that's been in the language, programming, maybe coming down into physically embodied robotic things that may be entering more the mainstream. Okay, and that would include things like the self-driving cars that are being developed. Okay, this could also be a very interesting year financially. I'd say look for cryptocurrency to become more widely used. We also may see great losses and great opportunities for gain this year financially, okay, depending on circumstances. And you may be seeing fortunes lost or gained, more so than most years. I'm not saying this to scare, but just to give a heads up so that when things start really shaking up this year, you can be like, oh, yeah, okay, that's to be expected. It's a snake year, so what do we do? Okay, we're going to be looking in just a moment on some ways that we can adapt and thrive in 2025. But just another couple things to maybe expect in 2025. One, in conjunction with these trends, and in large part driven by them, I'll be looking for a massive uptick in interest in spirituality in 2025. Okay, this may include increasing numbers of conversions to various religions. And on the metaphysical side, I really believe we're going to see a lot of people starting to have more mystical experiences and start realizing that everything they thought they knew about life isn't all there is to it. And they're going to be starting to seek answers and looking for a deeper connection and understanding. People are going to be looking for anything that can help them cope with massive lightning fast change and or possibly upheaval, certainly uncertainty. We may see a lot of people turning to addictions and or falling into depression, psychological illness, that kind of thing. Others will turn, as mentioned, to spirituality and or seek ways to support each other in community. Okay, snakes, a lot of them are communal. They'll go and they will hibernate together, a lot of them, and it's turning out that many species of snake are a lot more intelligent and social than we ever gave them credit for. Okay, so keeping that in mind, we may see a rise in intentional communities in this year of the snake. We may also see some cult activity on the rise. So keep your spidey senses attuned, right? And don't let anyone pressure you into accepting an invitation that doesn't feel right, even if you can't quite place your finger on why. Okay. All right, so let's move into, well, how can we adapt and thrive in 2025? Okay. Related to this, again, I've got a couple invitations coming up, and I will be sharing a message from Mother Mary, and I'll explain what her connection with snake is in a moment. But first, here are 3 tips for thriving in 2025, despite any upheaval that may come your way. First of all, is to mind your energy. I was listening to a description of the Shaolin monks, which is a Buddhist sect that practices martial arts, and the way that they use their energy. And what they do is they really stay relaxed and very calm and centered and almost unmoving as most of the time, right? And then when action is called for, the idea is like a striking snake, to take quick, powerful action, right? Putting everything you have into it. Right. So that could be a really, really successful way of moving forward in 2025, spending a lot of time in meditation, a lot of time in stillness, in quiet, relaxed, right? But then when time comes for action, just really punch it out. To do this means that you have to be super clear on what it is that you want for any kind of striking action to be effective, okay? So knowing your goals and what you need to do to achieve them is going to be really important. It's vision. And by the way, the wood element in Chinese medicine is associated largely with the color green. We're looking at the emerald ray of light, for those who are familiar with spiritual rays, and that is connected with the third eye, with vision, okay? Also, Archangel Raphael, who is often seen as the healer with the snake on the pole. So again, this is a year where the energies of snake are really going to be compounded. And that vision and clarity is part of this medicine, okay? So if you're not clear on your goals or, what the actions you need to take, you may start to feel like a snake about to shed. Okay, you may be feeling unclear, anxious, maybe even defensive. All right, so if you're feeling any of those feelings, probably the most powerful and healing thing you can do this year is to come to stillness, retreat, and go within until clarity comes to you, and then move forward with decision. Okay, and with that, I want to invite you to a class that I'm offering coming up. It is exploring the 7 sacred laws. We're going to be looking deeply at the ancient hermetic principles of spiritual law. Last time I gave it was in 2021, the year that this one was painted. And I'm still hearing participants talking about what a life-changing thing that was. I'm offering it by donation. So I'm going to put the link to that below. I'm only accepting 12 people into it. It is going to be live on Zoom. We're going to be really diving deep into the Akash and using art and journaling to access our own inner guru. Go within, right? You're the snake, perfect for this. So I'd love to have you there if you feel guided. Okay, so mindfulness, minding your energy, that's one. The next 2 have to do with the qualities of snake venom, okay? There are 2 types of snake toxins: neurotoxins that attack the nervous system, and hemotoxins that attack the blood and the tissues, okay? So when we are looking at hemotoxins and that blood and tissues, that represents your physical, right, and your financial well-being. Okay, so we want to consider ways that you can protect your material and physical wealth, investing in things that protect you, right, or build you up in mind, body, spirit. Investing in your home now is a great time to make yourself comfortable, make those little upgrades. Maybe home protection, security systems, if that's needed in your area. It might also be decluttering, right? That shedding and getting rid of anything in your home that is not supporting you in your spiritual development, right? Or any of your goals. In addition, looking at protecting your financial investments and looking possibly for smart investments or opportunities, because there's going to be a lot of them this year. And so for those who are able to look at, what are some opportunities that you could invest your money in and grow, because this is going to be an amazing growth year. So the other type of toxin is the neurotoxin. So we're going to be really wanting to consider how you can work with your nervous system, right? To stay calm and find balance. That's going to be huge, okay? So anything that you can do in terms of meditation or breath work or mindfulness training to really bring your mind into a state of control, right? Being able to transcend our knee-jerk reaction emotions, right? And stay in a mindful, more rational state of being, so where we can choose how we respond to things rather than just reacting, okay? It's going to give you a lot of power moving forward, and it's also going to help everybody around you to be aware of that, right? Oh, one more invitation. I am hosting a Lightworkers Cafe meetup, and that is a meetup group that I host twice a month. It is free to join, it's free to attend, and we are going to be discussing the Year of the Snake, and this is coming up on Sunday, January 19th, and I would love to see you there as well, especially if you have insights, downloads, anything that's triggered you during this video, anything that you've come on upon about the Year of the Snake. Would love to see you there, or drop it in the comments section below as well, so it may help somebody else. Okay. All right, and then finally, I wanted to share a beautiful message, and also I want to bring forward, this painting is one I'm working on right now. It is not finished, but this is the Virgin Mary. Mother Mary has been really, I think, wanting me to paint her for several months now. Finally sat down and started on her, and she kind of surprised me. I wasn't expecting a full length, and I was more expecting the older Mary. But what she's reminding me is, one thing that I didn't mention this year that I'm feeling hugely is a big uprising of goddess energy, lots of feminine energy. Despite all the yang stuff going on in the world, there's a really, really big upwelling of goddess. And I feel like that's really, really important to mention. I feel like that's also part of why so many are being drawn to come within, to cultivate their intuition and their receptivity, because that it feels like there's a lot of powerful spiritual abilities that can be unlocked this year, for those who are willing to kind of slow down and receive. I love that Mother Mary, or the Virgin Mary, is showing up, because snake has been associated with the divine feminine for millennia, right? Since the dawn of time, sometimes in a positive way, sometimes in a negative way, right? And just like anything else, we have goddess energy can get negative, it can be positive, right? What I love about Mary is that, I actually see her as kind of the cutting edge of evolution of the snake goddess, okay? And so what Mary shows us is this beautifully pure being, right? She symbolizes purity, right? It's almost like the snake that she's been associated with has shed and shed and shed and shed, um, and that she's been able to distill the wisdom and the intuition, right? That wise ancient quality of snake. And so many of the statues that we see of her in the paintings, that she's standing on a snake, she's crushing its head. Well, what that symbolizes is she's crushing out that evil polarity of snake. But I feel like a more enlightened version of her is to understand that snake energy as one end of a polarity, right? So that we have the wisdom and the light aspect of snake is intact in the person of Mary, okay? And so in this painting that I'm working on, she's standing on snake, but rather than killing it, she's riding it, right? So she's mastered it. So what Mary represents is that mastery of the divine feminine, so that it's the divine feminine that has been so purified that it is completely of the light, that it is fully supportive of the life force, and that it is not engaging in any kind of energetic undermining of the life force, okay? And so that's what she represents to me. That's what this painting is going to be all about. I'll be probably doing another video when it is done. But Mother Mary, the Virgin Mary, however you want to look at her, showing up as a really beautiful, big ascended master presence, prevailing over 2025. I feel like she may be one, if she fits within your comfort level of reaching out to a spiritual being, she could be one that could be extremely powerful in assisting any of us who wish to reach out to her in moving through this amazingly powerful year. And one more thing about Mother Mary is that she also is associated with the emerald ray, which vibrates with truth, with vision. It's a third eye healing ray, healing abundance, and it also is associated with technology and science. So connecting with a lot of the technological advances of this year, it feels very fitting that she's showing up. Okay, because what she does is she allows us to see past duality into oneness, right? So she, with her ascension and her carrying of this divine light within her, is showing us that we're about ready to see the birthing of an incredibly powerful, beautiful consciousness of light here on the planet. Okay, so here's her message that I was able to receive from her. And she says, expand your perspective. Look out over the vastness of time. Where you now stand is a vantage point attained over millennia through the patient accumulation of experiences over generations. We have reached a kind of bottleneck in time where certain structures and energies that have contributed to bringing us here are no longer necessary or helpful. These must be released, be they beliefs, material circumstances, ways of organizing time and energy, or any other constructions of the world that is passing. We are entering a period of renewal, and while it is natural to mourn what one has known, it is imperative to embrace that we are being held in absolute grace. Grace is a power that is available to every human soul who wishes to receive it. Those who surrender themselves to the grace of the Holy Spirit are not only blessed, but will find themselves uplifted in ways that can only be described as mysterious. Know that what you seek is seeking you. Be of the light, and light will follow. Be well. Right. So that's from Mother Mary, and I will put the timestamps into the description box. So if you want to re-listen to that, just go down, look at the description box, and find Mother Mary's message. Hit that, and you'll be able to hear that again. I know for me, I'll be definitely returning to that message this year. So that's it for this 2025 Year of the Snake video. Hope you've enjoyed. Please share if it has lit any light bulbs up for you. And would love to hear your thoughts about the Year of the Snake, either here or Sunday on my meetup. See you again soon, and remember, you were born to be free.